Good Sunday. This is Dee with Critical Break, and I have a very pleasant surprise for everyone. I just want to real quickly check audio and video for the chat room. So if somebody in the chat room can let me know if you can hear us just fine and see us just fine. So give us just a second here and we'll get that sorted out. Make sure audio and video is good. This is the first time I've tried to use Skype with OBS, so it ought to be interesting. Go ahead and say, I want to introduce Sir Edward. He is Pleiadian, the House of An, and we're doing a series of videos that are informative and hopefully very enlightening for the fledglings on the planet. Anyway, if someone can confirm they've got audio and video in the chat room. Good morning, Miss Patricia. Good morning, Miss Kate. Great to see you. Audio and video, anybody? You hear audio. Do you have a picture? Do you have video? I think I'll pop out the chat here. Oh, okay. The screen looks the way it does because let me pop out the chat and I'll put that back. Okay, here we go. Yay! Now you guys should be able to see him and me. We'll get this sorted out. It's a still frame. How's it look now? Okay, good. So you guys can see both of us. I'm going to be just a little picture up in the corner up here. I don't know which side it's going to be for you guys, but I'm just a little picture up in the corner. And Sir Edward will be the main one. Okay, so we can take off. This is an introduction to the House of An and the House of El. House of An is Pleiadian, and House of El is Anunnakene. And we wanted to share with you all what we chat about. So you're basically getting to eavesdrop on the conversations between two different ET races. Please keep in mind that we may not always agree on everything, but we are two separate races. And you'll find that most of our ideas and most of our thoughts and what we've learned on our own are very similar, very much so. And you also have to keep in mind, I am, as Gabriel puts it, an angel with a light speed education. So I'm behind the 8 ball, where Sir Edward has had many years of studying the ancient text and things like that. So anyway, I hope everyone enjoys this. We're doing a series. We're going to have topics. Yeah. Anyway, Sir Edward, say hi to everybody.
Greetings.
Can you guys hear him okay? I want to make sure they can hear you too.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to ask.
Yep.
Sound coming over good. Good. Hello.
Good. Can you guys hear Sir Edward okay? Can you just give me a A-okay or something in the chat or a thumbs up? And give them just a second to let us know. You could sing for us, and that way they'll they'll have some audio to work with. No, can't hear a Beal. Okay, they can't hear you.
Well, why not?
It sounded like you were. I can hear you just fine. Let me check my end. It won't be your end. It's this end.
I got my audio almost full blast.
Yeah, you're good. Let me see if I can fix that. Let me see if I can fix that. Give me just a second here. Give me just a moment, guys. We knew the first one was going to be kind of, we're going to use Hangouts, I think, next time, but right now we're using this. Oh, you can hear him now? Go ahead and say something, sir.
Something.
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 Can you hear him now, guys?
Something.
I'm just making sure I've got all the audio sources.
All right.
Okay, they're saying they can hear you. Okay. So just make sure you're close to the mic when you talk, okay?
All right.
Okay.
Let me pull this up. There we go.
All right. And I'll check the chat. I'll go ahead and I'll check the chat occasionally in case there is a problem or something, okay?
All right.
I'm going to leave it up on the screen so I can see it. But I'm going to shrink it down so it doesn't cover up your face. Okay. All right. We'll make do for today, but we'll use Hangouts next time. That way there's no problem with hearing him at all. Okay? Yay, they can hear you. Okay. Anyway, so you guys get to eavesdrop on our conversations and the things that we talk about. And boy, oh boy, the range of topics, it goes all over.
I have.
What was that?
The first question I have. Yeah, the first question I have is, what's for lunch?
Yeah, right? I'm hungry too, so I hear you. I haven't eaten yet today. This is my breakfast, so yeah, coffee.
You know, to come to think of it, I didn't eat nothing yesterday either. After taking that one bite of that drumstick, that was like a shot across the bow.
Yeah, we were talking about earlier when we first started chatting this morning. We were talking about he went somewhere yesterday and had some Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC. And his experience with their local KFC is not unlike our experience with what used to be a KFC here in the town I live in. It no longer exists. I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did, but yeah, he had a bad experience too. So
yeah, I might as well have bit into a bucket of grease yesterday. That's about as close as I can. I mean, oh God. You know, it was not a warm feeling. And then the ladies and the gentlemen, they threatened me. They threatened me. They said, "Here, we got all. Please take some home." Oh hell no, I'm not taking none of that home. I'm very picky about what I eat, and it was their choice. I mean, everybody agreed that they were going to go buy some KFC and bring it back to the park, and we have our little picnic and Bible study and everything. And okay, I mean, I was invited. It wasn't my choice of what to eat. And oh God, yeah, the drumstick was not very pleasing.
Yeah.
And they had almost 2 buckets of chicken left when I left too.
Oh, I imagine. Yeah. And you hate to throw away food, but yeah, sometimes there's just yeah.
Well, me being from the South, and I remember the lady that raised me, and I remember my grandmother when she used to make fried chicken, and they would use fresh grease. It was what they call it, lard. I
Yeah.
don't even know if you can buy that.
Yeah, you can get
But
it
anyway,
still. Yeah.
and whatever they cooked this chicken in yesterday, it was, oh God, it just had the most vilest taste. And I went, ugh. And luckily it wasn't a big bite. I took a little nibble on it. And instead of
Well, if it had been cooked
embarrassing
in
me,
lard, it would have been much better, probably. They probably were using
yeah,
some of that super hydrogenized funk that is not good for
I
humans.
think it was 40 weight Lucas oil they cooked it in. No, it was just nasty.
Miss
Uh,
Patricia was asking what ET race? Anunnaki. So the Anunnaki?
yes.
Yes. She was curious what race I
Yeah.
was. Yeah. Based on
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
Gabriel and Adonai are telling me, yes. So I hope that helps. Anyway, so yeah, the Pleiadians are the house of An, and the Anunnaki or Anunnaki are the house of El. Okay?
So
See,
we're
like I
all
said,
one
this
big
is going to
happy
be,
family.
huh?
And I said we're all one big happy family about 99% of the time.
Yes. That's what I was saying, that this is going to be super informative for everybody, and that's why I thought it was an excellent idea for us to share our conversations so that everybody else would understand. Um,
We've had some good conversations in the past, have we not?
oh, fascinating stuff. You all are going to be privy to those conversations because we'll rehash those things too.
All right.
So yeah. Anyway, so uh, let's see. Today was kind of an introduction, so you guys can all be introduced to Sir Edward, who is also known as Abaddon. He is the son of, say your dad's name, because I'm not great at pronouncing it.
Opera New Jabba Thor.
Opera Anu Jabba Thor,
Thor.
also known as Jehovah, correct?
That's where the Sumerian word Jabba comes from.
Right.
It means
Okay.
Jehovah.
Any other names? That's one thing I wanted to ask you. Who's Yahweh?
Yahweh is known as the storm god.
Okay.
Um, it is a creation. If people, I can speak a little bit of Hebrew and Aramaic. Yahweh is actually Aramaic for means a great storm or a cloud of darkness. I mean, it depends on how you use it. But yeah, Yahweh is known
Okay.
as the storm
Yeah,
god.
because I knew we had Jehovah, we have Adonai, and we have Yahweh. Those are the ones that are listed in the Bible. And it's like I've been
Yes.
teaching the fledglings that visit my channel that many people are being taught false doctrine in the churches because it's not just one God listed in that Bible. There's multiple. There's multiple sons
Yeah.
of those
Well,
gods, and there's multiple Satans. So, yeah.
well, since you brought that word up, Satan. I've told people before. Yesterday was a prime example. Learn the words. I mean, I don't expect people to speak it fluently, but various words have various meanings. The very word of Satan, for one, everybody automatically thinks, "Oh, that's the devil." Some mythical red-looking, horn-headed, pitchfork creature. Well, actually, the very word Satan means adversary.
Mm-hmm.
You could be Anybody can be a Satan if you oppose a certain system or a certain ideology. You're automatically labeled a Satan or, well, a troublemaker. In my case, people have called me in the past, just a small few, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, but uh, he's an atheist. No, I'm far from an atheist. Even atheists believe in something, but nobody takes the time to see what them words mean. It's just like Moses, for one. Everybody assumes there's this man with this big stick, this long flowing beard, wandering through the desert for 40 years, along with about 700,000 people, and they called him Moses. Well, here's a prime example. The very word Moses is Aramaic for the lawgiver or the man of law, just like the word Adam. And there's a lot of people. I've got some friends that are named Adam, but in the ancient days, the very word Adam meant man, a man of pureness. But anyway,
now Moses, he was given the 10 Commandments by the Pleiadians, correct?
He was given the 10 Commandments from the Grand Council.
Okay, from the Grand Council. Okay.
It wasn't just from the Pleiadians or the Anunnaki or the Andromeans, or it was from the Grand Council. This is how we want our creation to live. They will live in peace. They will prosper. They will be fruitful. They will multiply and live in a society of pureness. And, I have a question on that one. What in the hell happened?
We both have that question, correct? Although we both know that there is what I call a virus. That's what Gabriel calls it too, and Adonai as well. We call it the virus. It's like an infection. And some people may call it evil, but yeah. So if you hear me refer to the virus, everybody that's new here, that's what I'm talking about, is the evil that's infiltrated everything on the planet. So.
I'm glad you brought that up about the virus, because we've had that discussion before.
Yeah.
We had that discussion mentioned yesterday. Now, I've said for many years that the course of man's problems and all the corruptness that we see in the world today is caused by one word only, religion. So now, with that said and done, I've had people ask me before, are you a Christian? No. Well, how can you sit up here and talk about the Bible and you're not a Christian? I said, I don't belong to anybody. I don't belong to no denominations. I don't belong to no church. I don't belong to no society of man's ideology.
Yes.
Well, how can you proclaim to be what you claim to be? Well, they start automatically judging. They automatically start proclaiming their teachings. Well, that's okay. Everybody is entitled to their own beliefs. But when I say I'm not Christian, I'm not Muslim either. I'm not Catholic. I like to joke sometimes I'm Jewish, which I'm not even Jewish. I am a product of my Father. And with that said, we look to the Father for guidance. We look to the Father for love. We look to the Father for all that we can be. There is not one thing in the Bible that says we have to follow this set of laws. We have to follow that set of rules. Yet, Father gave from the council thousands of years ago how we should live. And it wasn't a force upon, I created you from my seed and this is how you will live, or I will destroy you. So saith the Lord. But no, it was a way that we lived, since we had created an extension of the council's society, which would eventually be known as the Adam, human. The very word Israel means people. And this is how, for you to prosper and grow as a community, this is how we did it. And this is our gift to you. You can maybe modify it to your likings. And man did. Yet, there was things that happened thousands of years ago, and it all came around with greed and corruption and ego.
Yeah.
Not much different than what we see today.
Except for, yeah, 20 times worse because there's way more people on the planet to manipulate, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, the evidence speaks for itself. Yet man's ideology has destroyed man. And with that said, change is coming. Change is already underway.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely
And,
underway. No doubt about it.
yes. But, you know, I had a minister that it was our second meeting that me and him have had Friday, Westmoreland, Pastor Sims. And somebody had told him through a second and a third source that somebody had just said that I had proclaimed that the seventh seal has been opened. Oh, I told him yes. But, you know, in the beginning, when I first met Pastor Sims, he didn't believe none of this. Oh, that's not biblical. Well, I hate to bust your bubble. It is biblical. And when I showed him many things that within the Bible, and then I backed it up with a lot of scientific evidence and ancient scriptures and scrolls and stuff like that, especially out of the book of Enoch, he was, well, I'll get back with you. I've got to check on this. Well, he didn't get back with me until the other day. I got a message from a churchgoer came by, so I called him. He said, "Can I come by tomorrow at 9 o'clock?" Yes. Well, he stayed till 3:30 in the afternoon. We had a good talk. We always have a good talk. But now he's seeing things that are happening biblically pronounced into the prophecies, and he understood many of these things now a lot better. It goes back again. What are you searching for? What do you really want to know? You know, I have spoke many times over the last 30 years. Everybody, I do say everybody wants to hear the truth until somebody speaks it. And then all your soothsayers come out of the woodwork. All your Judases come out of the woodwork. He's a fraud. He's a liar. He's not what he proclaims. Mr. P this, Mr. P that. You know, I've got a name. And you can call me Mr. P. You can call me Mr. W. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change the facts. And when you show these elements of facts, people have trouble understanding it. And you know, it's just like I've said before. There's a lot of people out there that's got these websites and got these YouTube channels and stuff. And you know, I was on YouTube. The thing about it is, not one time has anybody ever heard me ask for money. Make a donation to my PayPal, or please send a donation, because I've got to go to Egypt this April. You know what? It comes down to the fact is that they're using it as a monetary gain. Why do you charge people for a blessing? And I've never asked for a dime, and I never will take a dime. What was given to us freely should be given to the people freely.
Yeah.
And to show these things to people openly, these facts, I have presented the facts, I presented the evidence, and what man does with it, well, that's man's choice. Choose wisely. Would you not agree with that?
Yeah.
You know, I've talked at a lot of churches in the past several years, and I always found it amazing. You go to some of these big churches, and the first thing that will greet you is an ATM. What is wrong with that? Oh, I've got to support my church. Well, that's good to support something. But when the preacher walks in with $1,000 suit, he was brought there by a chauffeur-driven Bentley, and this is a true story. I've seen this. And the people flocked to him as if he was a rock star. And they sit up there and they'll say, and God said this, and God said that. And, Oh, Lord, it's got to be in the Bible or we can't teach it. Well, there's a lot of things that was in the biblical records that was purposely taken out,
Yeah.
like the Book of Enoch.
The
I'm
tampering.
not saying the Book of Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the Book of Enoch is 100% correct, but I will say this. It's about 95% correct. Um, our Father always said, love one another. Love thy father. Love thy sacred mother. Love thy fellow man or brothers and sisters. And with that guidance, you could never go wrong. Yet, religion, I go back again, that one word, religion, changed everything. Everything.
Yeah.
And it's all the corruptness we see today. It's something that people also might not understand, but every war, every mortal conflict in recorded history has been based not over conquering a landmass, it's over conquering the people because the people believed in one religion or another. I mean, it is a bald faced fact. And
Yeah.
nobody wants to admit that.
Yeah. Well, religion was designed as a form of control because
Mm-hmm.
it's all about power, greed,
Power.
via manipulation. Yeah.
And yeah, there'll be some, they'll say, oh, this has
Control.
got to be a cult. This has got to be some type of fixated form of the Illuminati. Or, I really get a kick out of this. Yes, they are using earthquake weapons, weather weapons, mind control. They're Anunnaki, they're Greys, they're reptoids. Here we go again. We have all these factions, and again, you can believe what you want to. I'm not here to change people's beliefs. I'm only here to show you the facts. And hopefully, you'll see the clouds before the storm arrives. People do not understand that the Anunnaki were here thousands of years ago. The Pleiadians were here thousands of years ago. There was many races here helping with the extension of the civilizations that we know exist. And when you have a Bible student or a PhD of religion or just the everyday Joe, hard worker, innocent civilian that says, yeah, I go to church every Sunday. You get this warm, fuzzy feeling every Sunday, don't you? Oh, yes, 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 yes. I'm washed in the blood of Christ. Really? And then Monday, it's back to the same routine. And it's a repetition. It just never ends. By the end of the week, they've cussed somebody out, or they've got in trouble with the law, or don't tell my wife, but I'm sleeping with my secretary. And then Sunday, we'll play church again and do the same routine again. Pass the offering plate, make sure you give. We do take MasterCard, Visa, and Discovery, and Carte Blanche, and your personal checks, as long as it don't bounce. And yes, buy my book, buy my DVD, and support my missionaries overseas. And actually, I'm only sending $2 to the missionary cause, and the rest of that goes, well, to support my big luxurious mansion or my cars or, well, whatever they are involved in.
Yeah.
It is a rob,
It
rob,
sickens me.
rob, steal decision. Yeah.
It absolutely
So that's
sickens
why
me.
and that's why I say, sister, that no, I'm not a Christian. No, I don't follow any church. I don't follow any denomination. We're all the Creator's children. Uh, yes, I've had a very unique life this time, but how many others out there are brave enough to come forward and say, "Yeah, I've had a strange bringing up also. I've never felt like I felt in. Well, maybe you didn't feel in because maybe you come from a sacred lineage, and that your life is very special, and
You
your
are different.
spirit inside your conscious is telling you, don't do this, don't do this. You know,
Yeah.
people don't listen to their conscience long enough. I call it the God gene, but the part of the Creator installed in all of us.
Yeah. Some people will call
Uh,
it their higher self.
mm-hmm.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to listen to that gut.
Yeah. Your sixth sense. That's another terminology I've heard over the years. The sixth sense. If it tells you it's okay, then it's okay. If you have this inkling that this might not turn out well, you might want to listen to it because it's probably saying, don't do that. It's not going to turn out well. But there's always that little small portion that will test the waters. And then they find out, oh, God, I wish the hell I had listened to my conscience. This didn't turn out well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, coffee's delicious this morning.
Cheers, sir. To the
Cheers.
Java. I'm having espresso. My Italian espresso.
I'm having Colombia's best.
Yep, yep. So, let's see. So, as you see, the House of Anne and the House of L absolutely 100% agree about the religion thing. I profess no religion. My people that watch and follow me know this. The ancient texts, I knew from the time I was a very small child that something was very wrong with those texts. I knew they had been tampered with. Just knew it. So, and I also knew from very early on that there was something really, really important I was supposed to be doing. I just didn't know what it was. I had no idea the gravity or how big it actually was until recently. The last, what?
Well,
year and a half or so.
The people that know me know that I was adopted. I was born under some very strange circumstances, and I'm not going to get into that. It's all documented. I've showed it and I've proved it, and some of the people wanted to run with it to see how much they could fatten their bank account at my expense. Well, that didn't work out for them. But the thing about it is, at age 2, I was learning the English language. I was speaking it, and it wasn't baby gibberish either. And probably at age 3, 3.5, I was studying the Bible. And I knew things in the Bible and learning to read. The words were very strange to me, some of the words. I had to bring my past thoughts up to speed. And it didn't take long to get that. And I had a lot of help along the way. But when I started learning these things, it was almost like, wow, I knew that. Wow, that's not quite right. No, wow, look at this. This story in the Bible. Yeah, that's true. And then I remember reading one, and it's in Hosea. It's also in Isaiah, Jeremiah. My people are dying for the lack of knowledge. That really struck me. That really stuck to my craw. I says, who's dying? And then I understood when more I got older and studying the historical references, I saw the people that were being murdered because they didn't follow one religion or the other. It's no different than what we see today. Look at Islam. Islam. If you don't convert to Islam, we behead you because our religion, our book, the Quran, says so. What gives you the right to go behead anybody? And most of them are children, women. It is no different than what religion has done in the past. If you don't convert to Catholicism, we'll burn you at the stake. How many of my brothers and sisters, hundreds of years ago, met that fate? It is a no-brainer. Religion has been the scourge, the beast, the virus.
It's the virus.
For hundreds, if not thousands of years. Yeah, I call it the beast, you call it the virus. But if we look at it together, it's one and the same. That virus is killing people even today. That beast is killing people even today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's... I can truly say I have been blessed over these last several years to understand these things more and more. The older I get, it's like a kaleidoscope. Things just open up every day. The beautiful people I've had the honor to meet over these last few years, the blessings, them are blessings to me because I listen to their cries. I listen to their worries. I listen to their thoughts. And then, if we flip that coin, there's just a few, and I won't say too many, but there's a few out there that, as long as they can keep the pot stirred, the worse it will get.
Yeah.
And I made a vow. I'm not into money. I'm not into fame and fortune. You can have all that. Where is it going to get you? Nowhere. I listen to people's thoughts. I listen to their hearts. I look into their souls if they allow me. And I share things. And to tell the council here just recently, how many of you have went down there and seen how bad it is? Yeah, I shamed them. I purposely shamed them because very few of them have. Yet they're witness. They know what's going on down there. And when I say down there, here, upon this world.
Yeah.
Including the house of An and El. I just, we as a civilization, to proclaim our superiority, yes, we have technology that man could never, ever fathom.
Yeah.
But us to proclaim our superiority, we have to set the example. And as I told the council, not all of this is man's fault. It is some of our fault because we allowed it to get so far. And now it's went so far, man's on the verge of destroying himself. A reset button has to take place. And it's funny, many of the ancient prophets within the Bible talk about this. Many of the things that we knew was coming was forewarned. No, it's not an energy weapon. No, it's not a weather weapon. It's not mind control. It's servitude. So, the very word of servitude, who are you serving? We have never said, serve our Father, because you are an extension of our civilization. You came from our genetics. No. So who are you serving? Wouldn't it have been nice if you served one another? You might not have all the problems we see today. Yet religion, oh, if you don't follow my religion, you're going to hell. You don't follow my religion, you're not worthy. You don't follow my religion, I'll just take you, lop your head off.
Yeah.
I mean, it is deception 101.
Yeah.
But they can call us crazy, though.
Right. Yeah, you have to giggle. It's like the things that some of them say are quite amusing. And
Yeah.
sometimes not so amusing because we're not amused by what's going on down here at all.
No, I'm far from being amused.
Yeah.
You know, people can say uh, he's crazy as a sprayed roach. He's got a mental issue. Uh, he cannot call in the Minerva ships. Yeah, I ride this pony because I've had it said to me. You know what? I let them Judases of my own. I probably forgot more than you will ever know.
Yeah.
And when I confront them, oh, well, let's just see if we can take him down about 6 notches. Good luck. Tell me how that works out for you. It didn't work out for a few. I don't mention names. I don't lavish into the past to poke fun at these people. I just know that there is greedy ones out there that try to elevate themselves to deceive and fatten up their wallets, and it didn't work out for them. And that's okay. Do I hate them? I hate nothing except those who harm the innocents. They will meet their just reward. But
You're
I
saying,
try.
sorry, they were saying you have an echo and I'm sorry about that. I would fix it, but I'm afraid that I would totally cut his mic. So we'll definitely do this on Hangouts next time, but just try to deal with the echo if you can. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
There could be an echo for a purpose. Maybe
Yeah.
the world better. Maybe the world ought to start hearing that echo. With that said and done, my brothers and my sisters, we talk quite often. And you know, we discuss many things, and I love them to death. I've never tried to hide who I am. I've never tried to shy away from who my father was or the things that I've witnessed over the course of many years. But the truth of the matter is, mankind has. They have refused to acknowledge that something very dreadful is taking place in this world. Well, after I warned them what was coming, nobody listened. Everybody says, oh, this is nonsense. Well, you know what? When it happens and it comes to your doorsteps, you remember I was the first that told you about it and also proved it to you. And with that said and done, I can't change what's coming. And even if I could, I would not, because change has to take place in this world. Be the change you wish to see. Yet man has grasped all the wrong tree branches, and that tree is getting ready to tumble. Man has followed all the wrong gods home, and it's easy. It is so easy to see these wrong gods. I like to call them televangelists. I like to call them the various YouTube sites. I like to call them the ones who have the rock star status. They are greater than thou. How is mankind going to live when there is no internet, no Facebook, no YouTube? How is he going to handle all of this? I don't think man's going to be able to handle it.
Yeah. So let's talk about, let's go with talking about our childhoods and things that we observed about ourselves that was different from everybody else around us.
Okay.
I'll let you go first, if you like, or I can.
Well, I had a very quiet childhood. I mean, I got to go out and play with the kids in the neighborhood occasionally, but my form of entertainment was reading and studying, and Yeah, I would like to watch cartoons occasionally. The Tasmanian Devil, Bugs Bunny, and stuff like that. I mean, it was far and few between. Uh, I was watched constantly. I would have people come visit me on a daily basis, and I do mean a daily basis. I either had some minister there, or I had some doctor there, or somebody would bring me a gift like a dictionary or a specific book or some biblical teachings. I mean, I studied the Mormons, the Jehovah Witnesses, all kind of Protestant, Catholicism. And I was always asked, and I mean, you got to remember now, I was 3 to 4 years old. What do you think of this? Read this literature here. Study this. And I'll be back in a couple of days. Well, when they come back in a couple of days, I had studied it, and I enlightened them. And they're over there writing down what I'm saying. But I would expunge certain elements. Well, now we teach this. You didn't mention that. Well, it's not true. Oh, it's got to be true because, well, Joseph Smith said it was true. Or we wrote our own Bible and we put that in there, so it's got to be true. Well, wait a minute. Walt Disney created Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse and Goofy. But that doesn't mean Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, and Goofy are real now, does it? And they were shocked by some of the comments. I wasn't being a smart butt, but it was an analogy that I would use for an example. Well, then, how do you know what you just told me is factual? Well, hold on a minute. And I would pull out. Aunt Colton had a King James Bible, and she allowed me to read it. And I would pinpoint certain things in the Bible out to what they are teaching. And with these elements, comparing the notes, I didn't have any books on commentaries at the time. So I gave my own personalized commentary. And here they are writing this down again. And eventually it got to the point, how does he know all this stuff? I looked at the commentary and he's correct. We've never known this. Well, wait a minute. You wrote your own Bible, did you not? Well, yes. Oh, I guess somebody forgot to put that in there. Oh, I wasn't a smart kid. I mean, a smart aleck kid. But I was very stern as a child. And Blanche would sit there and listen. And Blanche was the lady that wrote.
Excuse me.
And the older I got, it was like this stuff came to me on a daily basis. And it wasn't force-fed. It was like they wanted to know. So if you want to know, you came knocking on my door. You came visited me. So I'm going to give you the facts. And then you as an individual, go see that what I'm saying is true. And they did. And the older I got, I guess the more bolder I got. But that was my childhood.
I'm going to cut my mic just a second. I got a cough. Okay. Hopefully that's over with. It's like tickling. My childhood.
But that was my childhood.
Yeah.
And, I had a very unique childhood. I had a very good, warming childhood with Blanche.
Yeah.
And her parents. Blanche's parents lived in North Carolina, and I learned a lot from my grandfather, Big Daddy, and I learned a lot from my grandmother, Irene. And no, I didn't have heroes like the Lone Ranger or Batman or Superman. No, my hero I got to talk to whenever I wanted to, and that was Big Daddy. I learned so much. I learned things about nature. I learned things about myself. I learned about the things I could do and things that, well, think them over before you do them. And it made me who I was, even today. I try to live by them standards, and yeah, some people will mock them. Some people will persecute them. Like I said, we all have our own personal Judases, and I deal with mine very lovingly most of the time. But when I found out, probably in my early teens or my tweens, that you need to watch this one male child, and the word went around, and they watched me very closely. And I had a gentleman, a psychiatrist, ask me one day, I was probably 14 years of age, do you believe in the devil? Well, define devil. You know, Satan, Lucifer, somebody with horns. No, I think that's a creation of man's own choosing. And then I had a Baptist minister who was a very good friend of mine, very good close friend of the family. Son, do you believe that Lucifer is real? And I would tell him, I says, no. Well, he's mentioned in the Bible, you know. He mentioned the Bible only once. Only once. But Lucifer is a creation of man's illusions. And then as the shock wears off of them, they want to try to educate you on Christian or Catholicism beliefs and everything, and then you show them some old history books or tell them to go read this or go look at the evidence right here, and they've never heard of this. How does he know this? Well, eventually I started telling them, I've lived it. I have lived it. And yeah, it's a little hard for some people to fathom, but that's okay. Remember, you came knocked on my door. I didn't knock on yours.
Now, did you?
That was basically my time.
Yeah. Did you have like I was getting the telepathy from my earliest recollections, and I was being given information and being taught numbers, some types of mathematics that were way advanced for my age, which I made the mistake of taking to school with me. And suddenly I had the government coming and pulling me out of class to IQ test me. So, did you have any experiences like that, or any telepathy or anything like that going on?
Oh, absolutely. You see, I graduated from high school at age 15. I never did get to see the 9th grade. I did a brief stint in the 10th grade and a brief stint in the 11th grade. And at age 15, I was already 2 years ahead of where my other counterparts, my other classmates were. While they were in the 9th grade, here I am in the 12th grade. And then eventually they put me in a study hall by myself and gave me all kind of math books, algebra, calculus, trigonometry, chemical elements, physics, and it was just fascinating. I went, wow, this is the food that I've been craving for. Let's do it. And I started going to college when I was 15 years of age. I was a little pipsqueak. If I weighed 100 pounds soaking wet, I was overweight. But I was a small kid for my age. I was born small. Yeah, the numbers came, and it was just like oh Lord, it was just like something that I had been craving and begging for a long time. You know, even as a young child, when I was, say, 7 or 8, I was doing some strange math that people just could not understand. And some of it, even today, some people can't understand it. I learned the Bible code. I learned how to decipher the Bible code. I learned many of the messages within the Bible code and the specific numbers within the biblical records, the specific equations that, through words and understanding the words, gave a grave warning to humanity. Yeah, I don't think you and I are any different than that in that circumstances. We both have had messages. We both were doing things, and yeah, the government. Well, I mean, the government was watching me as a child anyway. They already knew about me. They probably knew about you. Um, I, I had dreams. I had visions. I would disappear and come back, and everybody was freaking out. Where did he go? How did he go? Who took him? Well, you know, you start answering their questions, and again, it comes back, oh my God, I can't handle that. I can't put that in an official report. Well, to start with, why are you watching me? Why are you asking me all these questions? Why do you want to know about these numbers I have and the various sequences? Unless, well, you're asking me, do I believe in the devil? Lucifer. And then, like I said, I was in the tweens, I guess 13, 14 years of age, and had this psychiatrist tell me, we have been warned by the Catholics that you are one of the Abiddanius beings. And I didn't comment on that. I didn't elaborate on that. I didn't have to. But this doctor, Dr. Seltzer was his name. Smeltz, excuse me. His name was Dr. Charles Smeltz. And I says, so the Catholics told you this, sir? He says, absolutely. I said, what's your feelings on it? Well, I'm a psychiatrist. I'm to study this. I'm trying to make an evaluation of your mental capacities. I said, well, I think I'm in all my faculties. With all due respect, there's some things I'm trying to catch up on, like the math. But you to say that I'm an Abiddanius being, well, the answer you seek, you have found. And did it make me a child of the black arts, a child of the black magics? No. It just made me a little bit closer to who I actually was. I accepted the fact because I knew things they couldn't explain. I learned things that they couldn't explain. And to make a long story short, I enjoyed them times right then. I really did. I enjoyed them. Just for the simple reason now, although I'm a young child, a young man, they're coming to me. And now means I can get a little bit closer to humanity. There's nothing to be afraid of me. I'm bringing you a gift. I'm bringing you a grave warning. And guess what? There's more just like me out there. You just haven't found them all yet. Although they knew about all of us, all 33 of us. But I was the one that they wanted to study the closest because, well, the Catholic Church had a nice little bishop that was watching me at 2 years of age and talking with me on a daily basis. A Catholic bishop. No, he didn't wear his flowing robe and his little strange little collar or whatever. No, he wore a plaid shirt most of the time, slacks or blue jeans, and wore loafers. Very soft-spoken man, very loving man. I will say he was a loving man. But he was talking to higher ups within the Jesuit order. We either prove it wrong with a child that is got a mental and delusional dysfunction, or we have a serious problem. It's funny, they would find out about 10 years later they have a serious problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So your childhood was not unlike my own as far as getting the telepathy and the numbers
Yeah.
and higher forms of math that instigated that testing that I had.
Yeah. Here's some of my, this is physics, schematics.
Oh.
That's just some. And this is a new journal that I opened last year, and it's an ongoing journal. Well, show this to people. What does it mean? I don't know math that well. I don't know physics that well. No, I ask people to understand it. I've showed this to many people. Schematics again. You know what it all pertains to, sister. You've seen this.
Yeah.
Life is a series of numbers. Life is a series of variations of science. Life is science. Everybody is part of this great experiment called genetics. Everybody, including the evil ones, the atheists, the soothsayers, all my personal Judases, they're all part of this great experiment called life. And yet, the experiment is going to be finalized, and we're going to, well, how would I put it? My father kind of put it very bluntly one day to me and my siblings. It's like taking a piece of stone, a piece of marble. It's all jaggedy and it's all yucky. But if you sculpt that marble and then polish it, you have a beautiful example, a beautiful statue, possibly. But just think, that piece of marble began as a jagged, dusty, craggly rock. It's amazing what you can do when you polish it up.
The other thing that we've talked about, a shared similar experience, was we've both been on board of interstellar craft, and we've both experienced perfluorocarbons, which is a liquid that you breathe in. I think, well, here on the planet they call it perfluorocarbons. I don't think that's what my kind calls it specifically, but because the kind that we both experienced, I know my memory of it is it allows us to breathe, to travel in space when you're in the biosuit, which is the human body. It also provides nourishment as well. So it's like a three-pronged thing. You get your oxygen, your nutrients, and it allows your body to withstand space travel. And you've had the exact same experience. And they had you drink something afterwards too, and that I do recall this as well. So, but yours was a different color than the one that I was given. But yeah.
Well,
you want to talk about that a little bit?
Ours liquid light. Ours is liquid light. It is the essence of all universal creation. It is the essence that we all evolve from. You know, you look at a baby, a baby that's in the womb. It's carried for 9 months on this planet. But in our world, that child, through genetics and certain cells being transferred over to certain cells, bonding together, excuse me, that child floats in that liquid, floats in that womb. And that child grows and is born very rapidly. It's not the 9-month system that is here upon this world. And in some cases, 2 years. Look at an elephant. It takes 2 years before it gives a birth. But with our system and then through the liquid light, that child embryo is created very rapidly. And when that embryo is born, comes into this world, that embryo starts out very, very knowledgeable. Hold on just a minute.
No
Go
problem.
ahead and expunge on it.
Okay. Yeah. My experience, what I recall is in the bay where that occurs, basically there's this long white arm that you're sitting in, like a sort of seat that's at the end of this arm, and you're placed down into the fluid. And there's always somebody there next to you to make sure that that occurs without a hitch. And my thoughts were that I've done this thousands of times. So it's something I've experienced, obviously, multiple times. Remember that I had another female standing next to me, and I kind of started to come to at the time, and she said, it's okay, remember, this just lets you breathe and provides nourishment. And I sucked it in like I'd done it a million times, So, yeah, that was my experience with it. And the drink that they gave me afterwards, I remember it being kind of, I don't know, it was weird. It was kind of a reddish, maybe kind of orangey a little bit, but it was like really deep, almost a purpley red with a slight orange hue to it. It was really strange, but...
Was it nourishing?
It was supposed to help the side effects of going from liquid back to air again, because evidently the liquid environment can cause pneumonia in some cases. So that's the feeling I got from it.
I have seen the liquid light before. I have been submerged in it. It is the essence of all life. It creates the body. It rejuvenates the body. It brings the body back to its originality. Now, when I tell people, and I have told them openly in the past, you don't die. You do not die. But I think my brother said it very, very openly, ye must be born again. And, or ye must be washed in the blood of the Lamb. Well, wait a minute, Eddie, you said you don't believe in none of that biblical stuff. I never said that, but there's people that have accused me of saying that. We come into the very word of lamb. How about lama? Lama. The root word of lamb. Lama means life more, or life as a gift. If we look at this life that we live in right now, it is a gift. What have you done with that gift? You've thrown it to the wayside. Lama is that life, that essence of creation. I don't ask people to understand it. I don't ask people to believe it, but it is a fact. You know, mankind today, and I will use today, is so lazy that he doesn't realize how special and all the very unique gifts that he has, because man has not been taught how to use these gifts. We all have the capability of telepathy.
Mm-hmm.
We all have the capability of talking to the Father, yet man has been taught these things don't exist. People that believe in this are crazy. People who practice this are witches. They're practicing witchcraft. You know, throughout the Bible, we see where the word seers or oracle was mentioned. Well, seer is a magician, maybe? No. Is an oracle is a communication? Yes. So if you put seer or oracle together, you're taking your God gene, your soul, and you're able to communicate with the Father. Nobody has ever put that together, have they? There might be a few that has,
There's
and
a
they have
few.
benefited from it. They have prospered from it because they realized, wow, I never knew this. Now you do. And once you learn how to use these gifts, how are you going to use them? Maybe some of them will do these fanatical illusions and deceptive matters to sell their next DVD or book. The Judases of the world. They don't want you to know about it. Because if we can pinpoint and paint this person who says this as a mental case, a nut case, then we're far ahead of the games. Because if everybody finds out that they've got this ability, it's a threat to us. It's a threat to our livelihood. Well, if you're taking in gifts to stamp out others just to fatten your own wallet, well, you know, shame on you. Shame on those who follow them. Again, it's man's decision, it's man's choice. But choose wisely. Choose wisely.
Yeah. So, so we both had that experience with the space thing. How many experiences have you had with different ET races?
Oh, many, many, many. I have been visited many times by not just my own people, by the Andromeans, the Anunnaki. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of. The only one that has never visited me, and I feel deprived. Yeah, because I'm going to pay them a visit. And that's the Draconians. They are the reason that we see things today. They are the main reason. They are the mythical fable serpent in the garden. It goes back again to greed, corruption, and that one word again, ego, which is all connected to, well, religion. I think the most blessed ones of all is the people that are part of this great culture called the Federation, the Alliance of Humanity. And again, it just doesn't mean the people of Earth, humanity, the atom, people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, my experience, I've had multiple races that I've had contact with. The very tiny blue beings that the Dogon tribe called the Nomo. I've actually had an experience with Ganesha, interestingly enough. Elephant type being. Very benevolent, I might add. Both those races are highly benevolent. The Nomo are probably one of the most advanced races that I'm aware of, and the most benevolent as well. Let's see. I've had dealings with Pleiadians. Let's see. Oh, goodness. There's others, but yeah. But those are some of the main ones. I've had others, definitely. And some I haven't been able to identify what they are yet. But, yeah.
You have to understand, the Great Federation, the Great Council, as we call it, is a council of not just Pleiadians or Anunnaki or the House of N or the House of L. It's the house of many, many, many. Within our society, our own culture, we've learned to develop a system. And it's a system. It's not perfect. Nothing in the universe is perfect. But it is a system that works. Not just for a selected few. It works for everybody who partakes in it. That was what the extension, the creation of the people of Israel, not Jews. Remember, I said Israel means people. We call it Yazrael. Veda Aryan Yazrael, thy sacred people. It is a system where we have shared technology, not just for us, but for everybody. In our culture, and as you very well know, but in our culture, there is no poor people. There is no rich people. We look at everyone as equal. Everybody benefits from it. We have no monetary system within our cultures. We don't need it. That is a creation only on this planet. Can you imagine that? This is the only planet that created a monetary system for bartering. Yet we have a system where, and it's in the biblical record talking about the storehouse, bring ye tithes to the storehouse. It doesn't mean you got to give 10% of what you've worked your butt off and give it to some stuffed shirt. No, the storehouse is there for everybody. So it's like this. Deanna, you have an apple orchard, and your crop this year was magnificent. So you kept 10% of your apples for you and your family. Well, what about the other 90%? Well, we have a multiple society out there, so you bring your other 90% and give it to the storehouse. Everybody benefits from your apple orchard. The same with anything. If you've got more, you bring it for everybody. And you take what you need for you and your family.
Yeah, the system has created false need or want.
Yes.
So that you covet things. That's true. Yeah. The Anunnaki vision is a very shared, and it has nothing to do with, oh, I have to be at work at 8 o'clock. You go do what you enjoy instead of what you're told to go do.
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we've discussed this in the past. I thought this was something we would kind of skip across, but it just came to me. How is people going to react when they see their loved ones disappear, their loved ones taken aboard the crafts? How are their loved ones going to handle this? I don't think they're going to handle it too well. And I see that so many people, I mean so many people, and dear ones to my heart, are manipulated, are robbed on a daily basis. But you know what? How are they going to handle their families, their loved ones, when they have openly said what is going to happen, what they've embraced, what they've learned? How is their families going to handle this when they find out this is a fact? oh my God, I wish I'd have listened to them because,
Nobody's
man,
listening. Nobody's listening. That's the problem.
well, there is some that are listening.
Very few
I wish
compared to
there
what
was,
it should be.
yeah, very few. I just wish there was more listening. You know, um, you was one of the first that I told that I was this seventh seal was getting ready to be opened.
Yeah.
I've told it to many people in the last several months that have gone now that soon that seventh seal was going to be open, and when it's opened, it's over with. We have things coming. I told one of my sisters, Lisa, and one of my sisters, Amy, Patricia. I told many people that when that seventh seal's open, there's a great storm coming. um, you know, I've had my personal Judases, and they knew about it also. And I warned them that when that seven seals open, there's some in your family that are not going to make it. Look beyond that. Look at yourself. It's not being greedy or selfish. It's being focused. Because yes, there is some family that are not going to make it. That's just a bald-faced fact. But they had the same equal chance as they as others did. I cannot turn it back, and I won't turn it back. But it's funny, we've talked about our childhoods. I talked about this as a child. We've talked about our experiences with other cultures. The other cultures warned humanity also. You know, I try to find humor in a lot of things. And I think one of the most humorous things is uh, the UFO community. I don't know why they call it the UFO community because they're so blinded that they don't want to acknowledge these other races that are coming here, these other races that are already here. I call it the UFO Civil War.
Well, it's
The
just
UFO
like,
community.
yeah, it's just like MUFON and all that other everything. It's like I've talked with you about every group, organization, they're infiltrated. Everything's been infiltrated. And those that don't think their organizations have been infiltrated are fools.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But yeah, the UFO community, a problem.
It is a problem. There is a storm coming, sister. You know it just as good as I do.
Yeah, those of us with abilities sense it. We feel what's going on. Definitely an increased level of energy in the atmosphere for sure. A lot of people are experiencing anxiety because of that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I hear the kids out in the parking lot here at my residence playing. I have there's 7 young kids that play out here, very loving kids, and their family has got to know me very well. Now, these kids occasionally will come knock on my door and want to know if I got a candy bar. Mr. Page, have you got any candy? Yeah. And here's the blessing. I like to use these little children here. 6 boys and 1 girl, and the girl's out there, and she is running and screaming with them, and they're having a good kid. They're being kids, and knowing that nobody is going to harm them. But these kids that come and knock on my door, do I have any candy? I go to the store sometime and I'll drop $25, $30, buy them candy bars. I know exactly which one they want. I look at that like humanity. How many times has humanity knocked on somebody's door? You got any candy? And that candy would be the sweetness of knowledge to know you are a special person. Yet, we might have some greedy old grumpy asinine person say, yeah, I got candy, but you get none. Is not religion done the same thing? Eat this candy. Well, I don't like that candy. Eat it anyway. Yet these kids, they know exactly what kind of candy bar they want. And I have a bag. I'm not going to dig it out for them. I said, okay, kids, one candy bar. It's right down there in the bag. Of course, I always ask them, you been good this week? Have you done your homework? You've been studying? Been helping your mom and daddy around the house? Yes, yes. So I take their word for it. They may have been little rotten snots all week long. I don't know. But they told me they've been good. So I'm believing them until I find out differently. And then I confront them next time they knock on my door for a candy bar. Your mother said you didn't clean up your room. Your mother said you backtalked her. Is that true? And you'll see the little sadness in their eyes, knowing that they fibbed to me. But you know what? You still love them. You still embrace them. And you still give them a candy bar.
Mm-hmm.
You don't punish them. You let them learn from their own mistakes. Yeah, hey, I'm just a crazy old fart that is delusional. This ain't real. This is not true. This is a cult.
I actually went to a counselor purposefully to prove that what I'm saying is no joke.
Yeah.
No sign of psychosis whatsoever.
And what did the counselor say to you?
That's what he said. He's actually digging into some of the stuff I've been telling him. Looking it up himself. Because he's a man of faith. And he's blown away.
So you gave that counselor a candy bar too, huh?
Yes, I did. He's one of us. I'm certain of it. Yep. He has not stopped seeking. Nobody ever should stop seeking.
Exactly.
The truth is there. You just have to want it bad enough.
Yeah, my people are dying from the lack of knowledge. Didn't I just say that?
Mm-hmm.
That knowledge is that candy bar. It's free. It's not going to cost you a thing. Somebody that loved you so much went out and got that candy bar for you, just for you. God, you know what? Maybe I ought to pass the offering plate. These candy bars are getting expensive. No.
We have to make fun of the religions and their way of, putting the squeeze on the fledglings. Yeah.
Now, there's something I didn't share with you about these 7 kids that play out here. When they get their candy bar, the boys give me a manly handshake. Give me a handshake. Or we'll do a little knuckle wrap. The little girl, her name's Elizabeth, she would rather give a hug. So I get a hug from her. And they go down the stairs and they go out and play and eat their candy bar and they're happy-go-lucky. Now, if I've caught them where they know they didn't listen to their mom or their dad and they told me a little fib, I always scold them. I do scold them, but I do it in a loving manner. Well, you told me you'd been good. Well, I thought I was being good. Well, okay, you thought, but now you know differently, right? Right? Yes, sir. And it's always yes or no, sir. To the respect. That is what I'm giving, and that's what I'm sharing, and they still get their candy bar. They know they're going to get their candy bar, but they've got to admit that they made a mistake. Yet, ask yourself this: what are they teaching kids today? It's just like the barbecue joint down here, about 2 football fields from me, Big Ed's. There's some young girls that work down there. They're getting their first job. All they got to do is take an order, take the money, give back the change. Yet I've called a couple of these girls, and it's always, hey, Mr. Page. They know me by name. It's always yes, sir, no, sir, the respect. But there's some of these kids that started down there, and you give them $20, and they give you $19 back. Wait a minute. That plate of barbecue only cost me $1? Oh, I made a mistake. Yes, you did. I could have walked away from here with $19 after I gave you an Andrew Jackson greenback. And I told him, I says, don't get in a hurry. Make sure you count the money correctly. Because there's some out here that will just laugh about it. That stupid kid.
Yeah, and take
can't
it.
even count. Yeah. And Mr. Bronner, Ed Bronner, he's the one that owns Big Ed's Barbecue, came to me one day. I was getting ready to leave. He says, Eddie. I said, yes, sir. He says, I really appreciate your honesty, what you did the other day. And I says, oh, you talking about the change giving back? Yeah, Martha was telling me you caught it. Yeah, well, your barbecue's awesome. And I know you pay these girls up here minimum wage, and your business is very rewarding to me. Why should I steal from you? And I said, they just need to pay more attention. Again, what are we teaching our children today? What are we teaching our adults? Nobody stops long enough to see that, I think. No, I don't think. I know.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's so adamantly to persecute others before they look at their own front porch. Their own front porch might need a little cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with that or disagree?
100%. That's what I've been trying to convey to everybody on how to survive this, is connecting to redeem themselves to themselves. Because we already know what they did. We don't need to know that. But they need to redeem themselves to themselves and release some of that, some of the ugly that they, were a part of. And then reconnecting with their true innocence, the real soul spark inside. Yeah. But yeah, they do need to redeem themselves, but to themselves. In other words, wholeheartedly admit what they did wrong to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it clears them. It's just like what the codes say. All sins are forgiven. You just need to redeem yourselves. That's pretty simple.
Yeah.
But complicated at the same time, because when you really, really, really do that process the right way, you're going to need a box of Kleenex, and it's going to take multiple attempts. And some people, it may take months or longer.
Well, yeah. Well, it should be something that will happen suddenly, but you've got to feel it. You've got to.
You got to really feel it and own it.
Want it.
Yep.
You've got to want it.
Yeah, and you got to want it.
There's nothing in our society that is half cocked. Yeah, Father, I didn't tell the truth 100%, but I was close. It's like the old saying that I've heard here before. Man, that was almost close. Only close counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. And I love to play horseshoes. Have you ever played horseshoes?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's one of the old games that you rarely see anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, very true.
But
Horseshoes,
usually,
croquet, badminton, the usual yard games. Plus, yeah. Yeah, I've always been quite the adrenaline junkie, so extreme sports like rappelling and things like that were always my cup of tea. Skiing, yeah, jumping out of things, drag racing, bracket racing, um, flying planes, yeah,
yeah, I can
model
relate to that one.
rockets.
I had to fly a little Piper Cub years ago. I'd already went through flight school there in the military. This major over in New Bern, North Carolina, had a little Piper Cub he kept there at the base. And he says, "Want to go up with me this weekend, Gunner?" Sure, why not? So I went out there and got in. It was only a two-seater. And the plane was built like in 1952, 1950, somewhere. It was an old one. It had a new motor and it had a Lycoming 150 in it. We cranked it up and we took off. He says, "You want to take the controls?" Sure. I'd never been in this plane. I mean, I knew what the altimeter was saying. I could see the fuel gauge and the little clock he put up there. It was very sparse in instrumentation. And I took that steering wheel and switched the foot pedals over, and away we went. Oh God, I had a ball. I didn't want to give the plane back to him, and so he says, "Well, we're getting low on fuel." So we were close to the base, and we called in the control tower, and they told us to land on, I don't remember, runway 17B. And New Bern is a helicopter base, but it had runways. I brought it down, and the first time I'd ever landed a plane, and it was the last time I landed. Had a little trouble landing with helicopters, which I flew, but the Piper Cub, I just cut the power down to 25% and brought down the flaps, and it just set right down just like I had put it there by my hand, and it was smooth. The only problem was I did not know where the brake was. And we touched down. We're doing about 80 miles an hour on the touchdown. And he said, "There's the brake handle right there." And I looked down and it had a little brake handle. It looked like a parking brake on a car. I pulled back on it and we started slowing down. It didn't have foot brakes.
Yeah, mine had toe
And
brakes. Yeah.
but that was a good experience for me. I got to do something for the first time, and I did it very well because I had a little knowledge on it, and I understood the flight patterns, the wind patterns, and uh, airspeed, and to bring it down and then pull back on the brake. And I stopped, and then we taxied over to the runway, over to the hangar where he stored it, and it was a very, very warm sharing moment that the major gave to me and allowed me to partake in. And although it was the first time I had ever flown an airplane, it's an experience I would never forget. It's no different than what we're talking about right now. Some people have never experienced it, yet you're going to allow them to experience it, and hopefully they'll never forget it. And that's what it's all about, is sharing and giving. And yes, after the plane was stored and we tied it down inside the hangar, the storage hangar, we went to the officers club and I drank me a cold Dr. Pepper. So with that said,
So a Piper Cub, so the overhead wing.
yep, it was
Yep.
an overhead
See, mine
wing,
was the
two
Piper
seat.
Cherokee, and I flew out of Rosecrans Airport in St. Joseph, Missouri, for anybody who wants to know. in between C-130s, cargo planes, because Rosecrans was an active base at one point. And yeah, so I would do touch and goes in between C-130s. That's always interesting. Yep, big plane, little plane, yeah. And you have one in front and one behind, and they're doing touch and goes too. It's pretty interesting. But I see the chat. Some of the people in the chat are wanting to lead our conversation.
Okay.
And the format that we have here is, it's just relaxed conversations. This is an introduction. There will be actual topics in following streams. We'll take questions at the end. And yeah, just an FYI for everybody who joined us after we announced that in the beginning. But anyway, so let's see. We've got about 15 minutes and it'll be 2 hours. So we'll probably wrap up our introduction soon. Let's see, what else? So abilities. You have, so we both share the same thing, the telepathy thing. And you talked about visions. I get visions too. Any other things that you've exhibited or noticed?
Well, we do have some unique, and I don't call them powers, I call them gifts. I've been accused of making things fall off shelves. I've been accused of making things break. And these are abilities that we do have. Abilities that I try my damnedest to control. We also have the ability to see things before they happen. Again, everybody has these abilities, but man's became lazy. He doesn't use them. And maybe it's not his fault because he doesn't know how to use them.
No, the virus has purposely kept them from knowing about that. They've been squashing it, trying to shame it out of them. Yeah.
I think one of the greatest subjects that you could talk about with anybody is who people are. Where did you come from? How did you get here? The creation story is much greater than what any preacher or religion can ever teach you. Yet it's right there before your eyes, staring you, saying, "Here I am." But nobody discusses it. They're so caught up into the virus.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, the abilities, I know that telekinesis of varying sorts are some of my abilities as well. I didn't know if you've experienced any of that or honed your skills.
Well, the old saying is, use it or lose it.
Yeah, and that's true. It gets weak, just like telepathy does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I use what I need to use, and I always, sometimes when I meditate, I practice my trade. I practice my seer abilities. We're all a product of our Father's creation. We came from His genes. These genes were purposely placed in us to use in a benevolent way. Unfortunately, there's some that did learn and used them in a not so benevolent way.
Yes, they do love to invert, don't they?
Yeah, and then there were some that didn't even know they had them, or they just blew it off like yesterday's dust. Well,
yeah,
that's your loss, but you never lose it. You never lose it.
Yeah, that's one thing I've been trying to impress upon everybody, that I call them fledglings. Also used the terminology of junior creators because they were indeed created in the image. And they have abilities that they are unaware of, many of them. And I'm trying to get them to learn to focus in on that inner, because when they're doing that clearing and redeeming themselves and refocusing in on, they look on the inside, they start discovering that those abilities are there and they can start using them. And they'll strengthen as time goes on. The more they use it, the better they'll get.
Exactly. I mean, meditation is one of the most simplest things that man could ever use. When you meditate, you get one step closer to the Creator, to the Father. And when you start learning how meditation works, and there's no set formula on it, everybody's different. With me, I like a quiet, peaceful setting. I do it a lot of times at night, or sometimes I'll just take a little trip out into the woods and be with nature. I'll see the birds, might see a deer or two, but I will sit in the woods by a stream or somewhere, and I'll listen to the wind, because people don't realize the wind is part of Mother, and Mother will talk to you. Have you got the time to make for her and listen?
And really listen.
And really listen. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
It's no different than Father. Have you made the time to talk to the Father and really listen? Everybody has this capability. It doesn't make everybody nuts or crazy, as man would like to label it, because man has become lazy. He doesn't want to understand these things.
Yeah.
So I just say, well, you know what? If you want to know, I'll show you. If you don't want to know, well, you will be shown eventually.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
I enjoy meditating.
I do too.
Because it is the forest and the trees and the animals that are out there. There is my church.
That is the best church. Many in the chat room will agree with that too, I'm sure.
That is my church. When I have an allegedly wild animal come within matter of feet of me, like a raccoon or squirrels. No, they're not coming to see if I've got some food. They're bringing me food, because they're coming up to sit with me and talk with me. It might freak some people out. It has in the past for those who I allowed to come and experience it with me. I said, there's nothing to be scared of. They're not going to bite you. They're not going to hurt you. They're curious about you, just as you're going to be curious about them. And if you listen long enough, you'll hear them talk to you.
Yeah, that's one thing we share, is we both, the telepathy with animals as well. Mm-hmm. Communicating, mm-hmm. Yeah. It's another thing we share. Okay, so we'll wrap up. So we'll take questions. If anybody has a question in particular, try to keep them brief and to the point if you can. I know I saw one question about saucer craft. I do happen to know that the Anunnakene, one of the craft, is a saucer. I had an experience back on November the 5th or December 15th with saucers, and I was trying to evaluate. I was like, because I had not remembered an experience with the saucer in particular until that day, and there was 2 different ones and 2 different occasions, and some of the saucers are definitely circular, and they are benevolent. They're Anunnakene. There are other ET races that have a saucer shape, I believe, but the ones I know of are actually consist of two different metals. One's kind of a goldish color, and the other's more of a titanium type color. And the sense I got was these two metals interacting with each other was the source of the propulsion of that saucer. Also, it may have something to do with magnetics and frequency, not real sure, but the whole thing spins really fast, and then you're inside in the center, but you're completely 100% still, and the whole thing spins around you, basically. And it gets where it spins so fast that suddenly you just warp, is the best way to describe it. So, no, not all circular or saucer-shaped craft are bad guys. There are definitely some good guys using that shape, so just FYI. Okay, let's see. Questions. Need to make my box a little bigger so I don't have things running over. Okay, let me make sure I get question. Let me scroll back because we got several. Okay. Okay, first question. About this exodus, if we are chosen, will we have the free will to say no to the exodus?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know one thing about the Anunnakene, it's all about free will, 100%. 100.
You want to
freedom
stay
of
down
choice
here when all this happens? Sure.
Yeah.
It's not going to be forced upon nobody.
Let's see. Question. Do you eat meat, Sir Eddie?
Well, I gave that away just a while ago. I go visit Big Ed's barbecue down here. Yes, but at home, no, we do not eat meat. We eat something similar to meat, but it is a natural grown product.
Yeah. The one thing that I want to make clear to everybody down here is the problem is your genetics have been manipulated and tampered with, just like the ancient text. And some of the mixing of different DNA requires you to have certain amino acids you may only be able to find in meats. And everybody's well aware of that. So if you don't feel bad about eating it, many are trying to refrain from it, but don't feel bad about it. It won't stop you from being able to achieve any sort of enlightenment or the ability to move along with your chosen people. So do keep that in mind. Next question. Does Eddie have an update on timing and events that are to take place?
No. I think I told everybody it's like a locomotive. Most people that know me know I love trains, so I like to use many parables, analogies with locomotives. That train has already left the station and it will pick up speed. And once it picks up speed, you can't stop a locomotive once it's picked up speed. No, all I can say is to watch for the signs. Things are going to get more intense and more intense. By 2021, boy, I don't think I'd want to be here when 2021 comes rolling around.
Yeah, and based on what I'm being told in the codes and telepathy-wise, when I first started doing the stream about 6 months into it or so, I was being told telepathy 3 years, about 3 years. And then recently in the codes, it stated 2.5 years. So the timing is matching up, definitely. So that goes for both sides. Let's see. Miss Patricia. Exodus, ascension to be only be triangle ones. I think she means the triangular shaped ships. And no, you'd be wrong there.
Yeah. No,
there's other.
You'll know.
What was that?
I said those who know, our people fly what we call Varanas. They are triangle ships. They're in various sizes, but they're all triangle. Those who I have told about, they will know. They will know. And guess what? Some of your family will probably, watch you go on board or disappear. Many ships are already here.
Oh yeah,
No,
I've seen them.
There's no Minerva ships, whatever in the hell a Minerva ship is. Haven't figured that one out yet.
Let's see.
It goes back to the question before that.
Mm-hmm.
Are we forced to go on these ships when the Exodus starts? No. We force nothing on anybody. But those who have been found worthy, you already know about it. It's that gift we were discussing earlier. You already know about it.
Let's see. Can Eddie see the chat questions? No, not this time. He will next time, though, because we're going to change what we're doing with this and use Google Hangouts because it'll be a little simpler and not as taxing on his system or mine. So, who would SAT know? Question mark, exclamation point. I'm not understanding what that question is. Tofu. Oh, tofu. Yeah, some of us.
I like tofu.
Some of us don't. Yeah, because of some. We'll discuss this down the road, but there's been heavy genetic manipulation. Not only that, but your genetics, your DNA is being attacked, and some of you aren't even aware of that. But I definitely am aware of it. So are some of the other incarnates. And you can look at some of my past streams that discuss that. But Sir Edward and I will also, those will be topics that we cover in these series. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't matter where you're, oh, just a minute. Hold on. Question, do you have MTHFR genetics, Sir Eddie?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I do have the keto 2 and the PARP cell 3 and the cycling genes, which is, as science has labeled, alien in nature because they cannot find it connected to any other type of blood type. It goes back to the O negative only.
Right.
I have heard that genetic formula, and I believe it is connected to the cytokine antigens, and it's got a very unique chromosome value to it. So yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I've seen it.
Yeah. If my son puts me in an insane asylum, will I still be included in the Exodus? It doesn't matter where you're at.
But here's the bottom line. That bird is not going to fly. People don't realize you're living in an insane asylum, as it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, Miss Patricia, don't worry. Don't worry. Yeah, it doesn't matter where you're located on the planet at all. No worries, okay? Even if you exit the planet prior to this, you're okay. You're A-okay, trust me. Because there's plans that have been put in place for the souls, okay?
Now, since you brought that up, There was a movie that came out several years ago. I suggest people rewatch that. I think it was titled Cocoon.
Oh, Cocoon. I saw that years ago. That's an old one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sir Tony mentioned a movie called Abbeys or something. I have not seen that. I think when he said that, it was in reference to the fluorocarbons that you and I have experienced. I don't know. I've never seen that movie, so I quit watching television approximately the year 2005. I very rarely see tidbits and pieces of movies or things like that when I'm doing research. So the Abbey thing, I have no idea what that is. Beats me. Let's see, next question. What does Seventh Seal do? Where is it? What are the benefits?
It's well, there's the benefits is going to be the final solution. In other words, cleaning this world up.
Yeah.
It's a reboot. Certain things that are here will be dissolved. Elements of deception shall crumble, and those who have created the deception shall be no more. It's not a process that will happen overnight. We call it seals because they're premonitions that are foretold before they happen. It's not that a seal is somebody rolled up a seal and there it is. No, the seal is the practice and the prayers to Amadeus and Astaroth, and they shall not play nice. Now, when I say not play nice, they will not play nice to people that have stolen your inheritance, your genealogy, your abilities. That is what the seal is.
The ones harming the fledglings, they're in big trouble. Bottom line.
Big doo-doo.
Yep.
Yes.
Because based on what Gabriel tells me, okay, if you all aren't aware of it, you do reincarnate here. That's a thing. And your souls come back into the system that they have set up down here. Because the system was perfect, but it's got a virus. So basically, that's why I'm saying Miss Patricia or whoever it was worried about that. Even if you were to exit prior to everything going down, as Gabriel puts it, the virus's souls are being written out of the book. They're being deleted. They never get to reincarnate again. It's done. It's over. There's no coming back from that, basically.
And those who threaten, those who make vile threats, they will not reincarnate.
No.
My sister Patricia, think about what I just said. They will not reincarnate. There's an old saying, those who intermingle are doomed.
Okay, let's see. Question, are you really going to be one of the four horsemen in the apocalypse, Sir Eddie?
Yeah. How about you, Dee? Are you going to be one of the four horsemen?
I just initiate everything.
God, I hate that when it happens. Yes. You got to understand that the four horsemen is a metaphor. It is a metaphor, but that metaphor holds a lot of credibility. You have to understand the ancient prophecies where it talks about the four chariots that are mentioned in Revelations. The four chariots are also mentioned in the book of Zechariah, if I'm not mistaken. Or it might be Ezekiel. I think it's mentioned in both of them. Anyway,
Sir David made a comment for you. He says, I hope Eddie is okay with me reposting all his videos that in reality are his. I didn't want to let his information to be gone because somebody took it all down.
Sure.
Yeah. I figured that was fine. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Thank you for that, Sir David. Oh, they will be in the abyss. Well, I've seen several things commented in the codes that I'm getting from Gabriel, so, yeah. Some of them won't get just deleted, because when they say deleted, they mean instant gone, no going back. Others have a special place they're going, based on what I know. Okay, I think we got it. Yay! Congrats.
Yeah.
And we're only 8 minutes after. So anyway, I want to thank you so much, and thank the wonderful comments and things that the viewers had, and keeping it real in the chat, and not arguing or anything of that nature, because that's what we're here to learn from each other. So anyway, but we do plan on doing this some more. We haven't structured a specific time or anything like that. Sir Edward and I sometimes will hop on in the mornings and yap, and we'll just fire it up and go. So you'll have to just kind of keep an eye out or watch them on the replay. A link is provided in the description for Sir Edward's book. So if you're interested in what he has to say, or his life's journey, and it's really, it's not a physical book. It's going to come in like a Kindle PDF sort of thing. So, and it's really inexpensive, super inexpensive. It's under $6 with tax and everything. So, let's see, is there anything else?
And it's a long book, may I add, with pictures.
Yeah, it is. It's 700 and some odd pages from what I saw. Isn't that right? Yeah, it's
767 pages.
767. Yes. And so I did provide a link in the description. But anyway, so we'll say goodbye for today. If anybody has any further comments or questions, leave them underneath the video. My email address is criticalbreak@outlook.com. Oh, and one final thing. Gabriel has been after me to take down my Facebook page. Not my personal page, but the Critical Break page. He's also been after me about changing the name, even though Critical Break was his idea in the first place. He gave it to me via telepathy a few years ago. But, and I had not changed it because I didn't know what to change it to. But one of my followers, Sir Pavel, the other morning when I was watching Miss Tamun Ingina, gave me the idea about the House of An and the House of El. And Jupiter comes up in the codes all the time with the House of El. So I'm going to be renaming the channel Jupiter House of El. So,
if I may add something, going back to my book, Project Aquarius, it's 100% accurate. It's 100% true. It's all verified. It's all documented. In fact, it's in the book. You'll see. Now, I know earlier I was very critical about televangelists, the UFO community. They're selling their next DVD and their next book. I want to elaborate with people that I get 0 royalties from this book. 0. And the reason is I give freely and I charge nothing for this. I do not fall into that category of I've got to have this amount of money. No, my co-writer, J.P. Rolls, who lives in England, we decided that the book would be made available where everybody could get it. Now, there is royalties that go to Jay because Jay spent some money out of his pocket, especially for the graphics and the art and having some very old photos redigitalized so they could be posted on the PDF file. My portion of the royalties goes to a very beautiful lady over in the UK named Annette. And with them royalties are given to the less fortunate people that are, well, they're hurting. Let's say they're having financial difficulties. It may not be much, but every little bit counts. So I just want to clarify that. I'm very happy with our situation. I'm very proud of what we have accomplished. And it is just a way of saying thank you. And with love, we thank you. Anyway.
And on a side note, Sir Edward asked me, he goes, when we first started talking, he goes, do you know how much I make from that book? And I answered him directly, 0. He's like, how did you know that? And I was like, you forget I can read you, sir.
I get 0.
Yeah. So I knew exactly.
It was given to me as a gift. It was given to me as a gift, and I give it back to humanity as a gift. And it's just a way of living by example. Our people give freely. We don't expect nothing back. Man needs to embrace his own self, which is what we do.
Yeah. Miss Debbie, the link will be in the description under the video, okay? For where you can get the book. Alrighty? Anyway, well, we'll wrap up for today, and we'll choose another topic for next time. And like I said, we could do them just whenever we feel like it. So it could be 7 times this week and once the next week and none the following week. It just, we're playing it by ear because this is just our casual conversations mostly. And to help you all see what we talk about and to learn from it and to learn from each other. So anyway, I'll let you say goodbye and take us out, Sir Edward.
I just hope you don't ask about my Pleiadian recipes.
Infinite hearts to all of you.
And much love and blessings to those who have heard the words today. More is coming.
Have a great day, everybody. Talk to you later. Sir Edward, you can hang there, and I'll just stop the stream and we'll chat for a minute, okay? Bye, all.
Okay.